So this is screenshot video number 3, and we're completing our look at how the New York State criminal court system handles criminal cases. We left off basically with our defendant having been indicted, and that indictment goes to either state Supreme Court or county court, and then a disposition is reached. If you remember from our initial posting, uh, 3 of the 4 dispositions can be appealed. Only a not guilty verdict is immune from appeal. I might add that the way we talk about this, it's typically a defendant who is appealing because it's typically a defendant who's in the position to want to take an appeal because he or she has been found guilty, or in the case of the Trump Organization, a corporation has been found guilty. But if the judge presiding over the case has dismissed the charges, it may well be that the prosecutor is going to be the party uh, taking the appeal. And by the way, in New York State, criminal cases are styled people of the state of New York versus John Doe defendant. So the appeal then is taken by the people of the state of New York. Uh, the other thing I would want to add is that in New York State, we have each county with a district attorney's office. And so for criminal charges, violation, misdemeanor, or felony, it's the district attorney's office of that particular county who will be prosecuting the case. Um, Once we get into or if we were to get into the more rural counties where there's not as much criminal business, it may well be that the district attorney himself or herself is actually handling the case. Uh, in our more populous counties, such as Erie County, it would be rare to see the district attorney handling the case, and it would be one of the assistant district attorneys in that county who's actually on the ground prosecuting the case. In any event, what's going to happen if there's an appeal is the appeal of the felony case is taken from either state Supreme Court or county court, and it's taken to the appellate division of state Supreme Court. And as I've noted earlier, the appellate division of state Supreme Court is divided into 4 different departments. They are organized geographically. So the first and second departments are Long Island, the New York City metropolitan area, the counties due north of New York City. The third department essentially takes into its sweep the eastern part of the state. In the fourth department, if we could sort of draw a line from Watertown down through Syracuse and jig it over a little bit further west below Syracuse, we would see the fourth department. And in Buffalo, New York, or if you will, for purposes of this analysis, in Erie County, we are in the fourth department. So let's assume a defendant's been convicted of murder in Erie County Court and wishes to appeal. That defendant's appeal is going to go to the appellate division of state Supreme Court, fourth judicial department, meaning the lawyers are going to have to get up a little bit earlier that day because they're going to have to drive to Rochester, where that court is headquartered or where it sits. By the way, the reason Rochester rather than Buffalo was selected is because if you were to look at a map, Rochester is more centrally located in the fourth department. And so we don't have lawyers driving from Syracuse to Buffalo, but lawyers from Syracuse and Buffalo driving to Rochester. That seems to make sense. Now, once the appellate division of state Supreme Court considers the appeal, we're going to have a party who has prevailed, a party who hasn't, and the non-prevailing party may wish to take the case to the New York Court of Appeals. And once again, as I've mentioned with the misdemeanors and violations, to get to the Court of Appeals, we have this barrier, appeal by permission. Court of Appeals, in many ways, our highest court in New York, functions like the United States Supreme Court. It has great powers to not hear a case so that it can select the cases it wishes to hear. And if you were to consider there's 7 judges on the Court of Appeals, and if that court had to handle every civil and criminal appeal that parties wanted to take, the court simply wouldn't be able to function. So the court has been given great powers in the state constitution and by legislation to really be selective as to the cases it wants to take. And as I've noted earlier, what kind of case then is the Court of Appeals going to take? It's going to take a case where, at least as far as it's concerned, the issue in the case transcends the importance to the parties. It's an issue of first impression, or it's an issue where the lower appellate divisions have issued, in different cases, conflicting decisions. Let me just say a little bit more about the Court of Appeals. I noted it's, as I said, it's headquartered in Albany. It's in a wonderful old court building. Having argued some appeals there, the acoustics are perfect. You don't need a microphone. There are 7 judges. By the way, in the appellate division of state Supreme Court, when a case is actually being presented for appeal, there will be a 5-judge panel. And if you remember, or you should know this, at the United States Supreme Court, there's 9 judges. If we look at the Federal Court of Appeals, there's 3 judges. The odd number, of course, whether it's 3, 5, 7, or 9, is to reduce the chances for a tie. So this is going to give us a look at how New York State criminal cases are handled by the New York courts. When we get into our third and final posting for these first 2 weeks, we will consider the possibility that a state criminal case can find its way into the federal court system. But this will conclude this shorter screenshot video.